All right, there's the Earth round. Okay, so I'm going to try to reactivate this channel. I haven't posted very much on this at all, and I realized I want to. It's something I want to do consistently. And so today I'm going to start with talking about cell phones and technology because I've had recent thoughts about it. And so I'll start with a thought, and we'll see if that can trigger more. That's kind of the way I function. Is if you give me a prompt, I could probably go on, and I have tons of different ideas about things, but I got to be clear about what I'm talking about. So the other day, I was on my phone in the bedroom, and you know, doom scrolling, as they say. And I had a couple ideas that came to me while I was doing that. One, I've felt guilty for a long time about doom scrolling because it seems like the general consensus out there is that it's a waste of time and it's addictive and it's silly. Like everyone knows that you shouldn't do it. And and then I thought, well, if everybody knows that you shouldn't do it, then why does everybody keep doing it? Why do I keep doing it? I think of myself as a reasonably intelligent young man, and I did well in school, quite well actually, if I can brag on myself. And things have usually come pretty easy to me. So, why do I keep? Why am I addicted to this thing? And the answer that quite easily came to me when I just was willing to acknowledge what's in front of my face is that the content is oftentimes phenomenal. I mean, there's content of all kinds that's just incredible to watch. And so I think maybe a good starting point would just be to admit that, that that's the reason it's addictive is because it's actually that good. Um, and so we don't need to guilt trip ourselves on that. But instead, we need to realize how powerful the technology actually is and how good it is. But perhaps we need to start being able to separate out what still is a waste of time. I think one fundamental point that I want to make is that despite how good the content is, from educational content to comedy content to getting to watch people act authentically in situations that you might never put yourself in or might never get to be part of, or pranks, or there's infinite numbers of different kinds of content. Uh, Despite how good a lot of the content out there is and how enjoyable it is to digest, the fundamental fact of the matter is none of it is actually real. And I think that is maybe the most important takeaway from this video, or the most important takeaway with regards to digital content or short form content, or any content really at all, is that it's digital and it's not actually real. And despite how real it seems, and that's part of why it's addictive, because you get to explore the world from the comfort and safety of your own home. So I feel like this microphone stand is like slowly drooping, but maybe it's not. I don't know. It did for a second, but and that what I just said is also a key point of this message, which is to emphasize how powerful the technology is. The idea that you can explore the world from the comfort and safety of your own home. It means you don't have to go out anywhere to discover anything or experience anything on your own terms, because it's just given to you uh, in a method that presents no danger to you. At least that's how it seems. Now, the danger actually is that you're not actually experiencing any of it, and none of it is actually interacting with you. And so you don't get to see the reciprocal relationship of what it actually is to be there, and how you impact an environment. And so you can only learn that by actually going out in the environment. And then also, it's all in the past, and it's all from a limited vantage point. I think there's also an angle that many people I never hear talked about, and it's hard to make an argument as to whether or not, or how much this actually is significant. But also, The nature of reality is that it's infinite, apparently, which makes no sense, but it's infinitely large, it's infinitely small, and it's infinite. In other words, in any moment that you experience, the amount of detail that you can perceive is kind of unimaginable. I mean, you can't perceive all of it. You can't track all of the detail that's going on. But if you do track a lot of the detail, a lot of times the more that you are aware of, the more accurately you can predict what's going to happen in the future. So it would seem the details matter, and yet, without a doubt, details are lost when reality is converted into video or reality is converted into audio. And so there's a legitimate question as to how much data is actually lost, how much information is actually lost. And I think we think that the video and audio is so convincing or compelling to our ears and eyes that we're getting the gist of it. But that might not actually be true. And so I think I would put a very strong caution towards that idea that we really are getting everything when we do a video chat with somebody on the other side of the world, that we're getting a really good sense of who they are. We certainly can't feel their spirit. We can observe their body language. We can hear their tones. But there's even information in all that's absolutely lost. And then a question is, how much does that corrupt the message? These details that maybe aren't so apparent to the naked eye or apparent to the consciousness, how much do they actually impact when they're gone, the message and the communication and the understanding that occurs? So I think that's super important, and I never hear that get talked about. All right, on top of that, I want to emphasize how transformational it is to have a cell phone in a home. So I grew up before cell phones were in the home. We had a landline, and it was kind of at the advent of when the internet was coming about, and we had a computer in the family room that we would have limited access to, limited hours. The technology has become more and more powerful, more polished. Everything has just got, supposedly better and better and better. And in a way it has. But then the question is that in all ways, which it clearly is not, because technology has definitely had negative or adverse effects to society. And so one of those is that we're on at all times. I mean, you can receive a Facebook message which could ping an alert on your phone, or a text message, and of course you could put focus mode on, or you can or you can put your phone in the other room. But a lot of us have our phones on us all the time, or have it in the house. But I guess what I want to stress is the phone as a portal to the entire world. That anything and everything, and you don't even know what can come to you through the phone. It's this digital portal to a digital representation that's incredible and profound, that just exists in your own home. This was never the case before. When you'd go home, you were at home. It could be boring. You'd have to try to figure out what to do. You'd have to study, or you'd have to go try to play with your siblings, or go over to your friend's house, or read a book, or something that you'd have to figure out what you want to do. Otherwise, it could be very boring. And you couldn't just access this portal to the outside world that is, as I described it earlier, not actually the real world, and doesn't really interact with you as much. It interacts with you in a very different way from how you would interact with a friend or almost anything else in life. Drop the pick. And I think this gets largely overlooked because it's been accepted as commonplace and normal when it's not normal. And I think we really need to ask ourselves, is this really the way that we want the world to be? I think it may be in our best interest to voluntarily make our homes non-internet, non-cell phone places. I think perhaps it would be in society's best interest, and in all of our personal best interest, and our families and our communities, if we put that technology somewhere else. where it can be accessed because it's without a doubt useful. I mean, the ability to communicate so quickly and easily across from one side of the planet to the other with information that can be very reliable and useful, especially when it's very simple and basic or sort of matter of fact. Um, there's a lot of stuff that the internet and this technology can be extraordinarily helpful for in terms of our productivity, our efficiency, uh, for work purposes, or even for communication between family and friends. But this idea that you've got this portal that's in your house that's constantly going because you know it's there, it's like it constantly calls out to you, even if it's not audibly or it's not doing of its own volition. This incredible world of content that just is designed for you or designed to be the most entertaining and interesting and exciting or funny or whatever it possibly could be the most, that just you can go to your room and safely ingest all of this. It's got to be one of the most addictive things that you could possibly do. It's unbelievably powerful. And it also transforms the home. I think that's the main thing that I wanted to say is it transforms the home because the home was not that in the past. And in the past, you would get peace at your home. You'd get quiet at the home. You'd get connection at the home instead of isolation. And I guess I want to leave it there. I could go on and on and on about it, but I think that's enough for you to think about it. And that's the main thing I want to ask you to do is to seriously think about this stuff, because I think we take for granted that this is just the way it is. And it doesn't have to be. If enough people decide and understand that this is bad news, we can change it. And so, but it needs enough people to actually give it serious thought and just take a step back, put your thinking cap on, and let it rest for a moment. And just think about, is this really impacting your life in a positive way? Is this really impacting our world in a positive way? Because I'll end by saying, I don't know that it's made our world much better. There's things about it that are quite nice. I mean, this advent of these large language model AIs have been incredible for building things or figuring out how things work or getting answers to questions that otherwise might take longer. Maybe much like the very beginning of the internet changed how you might use a library. But I don't know that it made us happier. I don't know that it made us more connected with each other. I don't know that it really changed our world and the way we related to one another and the way we felt on a daily basis. I don't know that it made it better. And I used to go out and run over to the friend's house and throw the football in the yard. Some of the best times were playing imagination with my siblings, running around pretending to fight imaginary people. And there's so many things that I did as a kid that I don't know that I would do. As the technologies became more and more powerful, including video games, a lot of time starts to go to those things because they're so engaging, they're so entertaining, they're so fun, that they divert your energy from things that are otherwise healthier physically, healthier socially, healthier emotionally. And so I think these things really need to be thought about seriously, and I would ask that you do that. And if this impacts your thinking at all to the point where when you're reflecting, you maybe shift your perspective. If it does, then consider sharing this idea with someone else. Either you could share this video or you could just share the idea yourself and just talk to them. So thanks for watching the video. And I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you in another one.